It's cold outside, and when it gets cold outside, that means that your pipes can freeze. And that's something that Nate Heinens has seen a lot in his 18-year plumbing career. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So you're here to give us some advice, tips and tricks to prevent those pipes from freezing.
Yes.
And you said that the advice differs depending on the type of home that you're living in. What are the main things we need to be aware of here?
So one of the differences you'll notice is there's a wood skirt around the perimeter of the mini home, obviously protecting anything that's underneath from being exposed to the elements, to weather, right?
So I know there's a vent over here that
Yes.
you were pointing out. Here it is.
So the vents are good. They're there for a reason, right? They're there to make sure that airflow goes through underneath, keeps everything dry, and for moisture building up. But let's say you live in an area where you have a lot of high wind volume and the wind gets really cold in the winter, right? And there's gaps in insulation or there's holes that can cause your pipes to freeze relatively quickly. So what we want to do is we want to either semi-block or block a couple of the vents to prevent any wind from going through, but we don't want to seal everything up completely and make it airtight.
It's much warmer in here, and that's a good sign.
Yes.
Okay, so let's take a look at the sink first.
So if we see underneath here, we see the water lines are run on the exterior of the wall, they're exposed, they're in the warm space. So we have a very low risk of freezing. Let's say that our pipes aren't exposed like this. One basic thing we can do is we can leave the cabinet doors open. So that way the heat in the house heats the space underneath, at least brings it above freezing, and we should have no risk of any damage or anything happening, right? Another thing that we can do is if, say, we're going away or we're really, really worried about it, we can leave the water on at a really, really slow drip, just like that. So when there's water moving through the pipe, it's harder for moving water to freeze than it is for water that's sitting still.
You were saying most things in these types of homes are inside.
Yes.
But this is something you pointed out.
So when we turn the handle and shut it off, the water is still up to this point right here. Shut it off inside if there's a shut off. If there isn't, I would recommend calling somebody to put one in. And then once it's shut off, opening it outside to drain the water.
You were talking earlier about how important it is to know how to shut off your water.
Yes, you'd be surprised how many people don't actually know where their main water shut off is. We are looking for these. A lot of times people will turn their heat down at nighttime to try and save some money. In the wintertime, don't do that. We want to maintain between 15 and 18 degrees in the house just to make sure everything's warm, to make sure that there's going to be no issues.
The colder it gets, the higher the risk. But if you can keep your pipes warm by making sure they're properly insulated or taking those little steps like keeping your cupboard doors open, it should help reduce the risk that they freeze this winter. Sheehan, Desjardins, CBC News, Stratford.